Before we die, and we all die, we can choose an executor for our will. Your executor is the person who does all the work when you die. It is not a gift, it is a job. They have to collect your bank statements, your vehicle registration papers, your insurance paperwork, things like that. They have to pay any accounts, such as your funeral account. They have to settle any claims on your estate. That used to be called contesting the will. Then they have to distribute your assets in accordance with your will. So there are many jobs for the executor to do. You can choose anyone to be your executor, as long as they're over 18. Sometimes the executor gets help with all of the paperwork from a solicitor or a lawyer. It's the same thing in Queensland, or the Queensland Public Trust. The important thing here to note though is that if you appoint a person as your executor, they can choose who they want to help them, or they can do some of the work themselves. If you decide that you want a free will from the Queensland Public Trust, be very careful when it comes to who you choose as your executor. If you decide to appoint the Queensland Public Trust as your executor, there are very serious consequences for your family. Your family will have no say, no control, and as I have seen time and time again, they will wait and wait and wait. The Queensland Public Trust takes a very long time to do the work. And you can search for yourself on the internet for forums and posts about complaints against the Queensland Public Trust, the time they take and the costs. Your estate will be charged a lot of money for the Queensland Public Trust to act as your executor. The Queensland Public Trust has to apply to the Supreme Court to act as your executor, even if appointed in the will. It's in the legislation, the law. The Queensland Public Trust have no choice, and the cost of the court application paid by your estate. In reality, not every estate has to go to the Supreme Court, as long as a public trust are not the executors. If you appoint a person as your executor, if probate isn't needed, then they do not have to go to court. This saves you money and time. The Queensland Public Trust also has a minimum fee that they have to charge. Again, it's in the law. The Queensland Public Trust does not accept indemnities, which can be a very useful tool in saving your estate money and time. The Queensland Public Trust retains money for taxation, whether it is payable or not. Their customer service is not as good as some law firms, yet they charge the same or more than some law firms. 3 examples that I have witnessed. Number 1, an estate with one house, total value of the estate approximately $160,000. $50,000 in legal costs because the public trustee also filed a family provision claim contesting the will against the public trustee who wrote the will for the deceased and were appointed as the executor. If the son had been appointed as the executor, different outcome. Second example, one house, $10,000 in costs, 9 months of trying to negotiate with the Queensland Public Trust, asking for indemnities and other methods to reduce costs. It looked like the daughter, who was over 60 and had been her mother's carer for years, would actually have to sell the house that she lived in to pay the costs of the public trust until it was taken to the Supreme Court. Then all of a sudden the costs were decreased to $2,500. If the daughter had been appointed the executor in mum's will, different outcome. third example, a man went to the Queensland Public Trust after being diagnosed with a terminal illness. He left everything to his wife. He had 2 sons from a previous marriage. He appointed the Queensland Public Trust as his executor. After he died, the Queensland Public Trust decided that they would not distribute any of the money or the property to his wife until 9 months after his death, because the 2 sons might file a claim against the estate. 9 months is a long time to not pay a mortgage. The banks are not nice. 9 months is a long time to wait and see, especially when there are other options. If the wife had been appointed as executor, she could have done things very differently.